Well, I just want to make a video and talk about some stuff real quick. This is this actually information comes from the court systems for CSA for a CSA case against Watchtower Bible Tract Society involving Phillip Brumley, and I believe for the August Watchtower, they have released a Watchtower Bible Tract Society has released uh, a watchtower about Philip Brumley and how spiritual his life is, how he dedicated his life to Jehovah, blah 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 blah. You know, just a bunch of bullshit for the sheep to believe, so they can help their efforts in damage control, basically. And this is the events that unfolded from the past like 3 years, I guess. So, District Court of Montana issued a order granting in part and denying in the part of the plaintiff's motion for sanctions, acknowledging Brumley's actions demonstrated at minimum a reckless disregard for providing an accurate and truthful accounting of WTPA's role, because I believe he's the head of the legal team for Watchtower Bible Tract Society. Then it says the judge finalizes the sanctions, imposing a fine of $154,448.11 against Brumley for the misleading affidavit submitted in the child abuse case, because Watchtower's a piece of shit. Their lawyers are also pieces of shit. So they're going to try and say that, Jehovah's organization is pure and clean, no matter what, even if it's a bold-faced lie, because they don't actually care about the people in the organization. They only care about protecting their wallets. So he got caught in a big lie. That was in April of 2023, May of 2023. I did a video on this at the time also. I believe it was in 2024 when I did the video, though. Brumley appealed against the sanctions in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, arguing that the sanctions order was not immediately appealed and seeking to overturn the decision. Fast forward to 2024. Almost a year later, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals dismissed Brumley's appeal for lack of jurisdiction, stating that the sanctions was not immediately appealable, and that Brumley had not demonstrated a clear right of relief. A year later, May 2025, Phillip Brumley appeared, or General Counsel for the Watchtower and Bible Tract Society of Pennsylvania, was sanctioned under 28 U.S.C. For submitting a declaration that the federal court found was reckless and misleading, lying. Lying about in sexual abuse case. I mean, really, come on, like, really. And this is what's going on right now. This is why Watchtower is so disgusting. It's not that because bad things happen in Watchtower. Bad things happen, I feel like, in every place, because there's bad apples everywhere, unfortunately. But it's the fact that they do their utmost to make sure that they put the victims through the absolute ringer, instead of doing what they say, which is providing love and support for those who have been harmed. A lot of these sexual abuse cases happen with elders, leaders of the current congregation. So the fact that Watchtower goes up and they lie about this stuff after all the harm and anguish that the victim had to live through, and then on top of that, having it just be also in the courts where, you know, they have to be making the victims feel absolutely crazy at some point with everything that they put the victims through, and it's so disgusting. So he was found. They found that, you know, his statements were reckless and misleading, causing unnecessary delay in a child sexual abuse case involving Jehovah's Witnesses. He applied. He is appealing the sanctions, of course, arguing that the state does not that the statute does not apply to him. Uh, Oral arguments were heard in the Court of Appeals, indicating that the appeal process continued beyond the initial dismissal. You can find the link, yeah, for the whole transcript. And then July of this year, the Ninth Circuit rejected Brumley's defense. Nothing, he did not appeal that argument in the lower court, though they reviewed it. As general counsel, he was recognized as an attorney regardless if he was formally of record. He explicitly functioned in a legal role when signing the affidavit, which triggered the protections under 1927. So scroll down a little bit, and it says, this is from avoidjw.org. It says, main issue, can a lawyer who is not admitted to the court handling the case and who signs a sworn declaration in a case but is not lead counsel of controlling litigation be sanctioned? And I mean, that, I guess this is like Brumley's argument, you know, saying that, you know, even though he wasn't a lawyer in that case, you know, I guess he thinks he should be able to lie about whatever the hell he wants, wherever the hell he wants, because he's one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And then it goes on saying basically everything that I just read, that Brumley submitted sworn affidavits asserting that the Watchtower Bible Tract Society of Pennsylvania had no involvement with Jehovah's Witnesses congregation in Montana during the 1970s and 1980s. So basically, whenever Jehovah's Witnesses are going out and they are doing good, quote unquote good, you know, they say, you know, oh, this is truly Jehovah's congregation and organization right here in front of us. But when the congregations go out and they are doing, and, you know, something negative reflects, oh, we had no involvement with that place whatsoever, even though back in, like, I think this was also around, maybe it's like 2018, 2019, or maybe 2020, when we studied the little book about the whole history of, like, Jehovah's Witnesses, and they literally say in that book that, I forget the title of it, but they have stated in their own literature that as far back as Russell, it is clear that this was always Jehovah's organization. But now suddenly, because this has happened, and, you know, this sort of thing, CSA, is happening rampantly all over Jehovah's Witnesses congregations, because they do not take accountability, even though they call it their congregations. They hide and they protect the pedophiles. It's disgusting. So, you know, you state in your literature and you say, oh, well, you know, as far back as Russell, this has always been, you know, it's always been evident that, you know, the congregations, you know, were always under Jehovah's control, and they've always had guidance from the from the governing body. And now suddenly, because this happens, well, you know, we didn't have anything to do with it. That's not our fault. Even though, even back then, you are supposed to report this. You are supposed to report this to the authorities. And you constantly say, like, they constantly say in their literature, be in subjection to the appointed authorities, meaning the government, but then they don't follow what they say. And I mean, I'm sure that even back then, this right here, during these years, it is still something that they were told to do with not reporting to the proper authorities, but instead hiding it for whatever reason. Um, so, uh, except the plaintiffs pushed back hard, showing contrary evidence that Watchtower, Pennsylvania, was deeply involved in those congregations during that exact time frame. Brumley said otherwise. Mind you, this is also the time frame of the 1975 fiasco that Watchtower was also pushing back then. And, 1975 is going to be the end of this system. You can sell your properties. You won't have to worry about anything else after 1975. So bullshit. They were not involved in Jehovah's Witnesses congregation during this set 1970s and the 1980s. The court didn't take kindly in legal speak, and Brumley's affidavits were more than just wrong. They deemed to show reckless disregard for the truth. And I mean, come on now. It's hasn't it always been that the truth cannot handle the truth? I mean, really. That's lawyer talk for you either knew or should have known that you were misleading the court. Of course he knew. Of course he knew. And this is just another example where they will either absolutely deny that this ever happened or say that legal documentation from the courts is apostate literature and refuse to accept it as truth, even though this is exactly what happened. And it's so sad that people believe this. It's so sad that people would choose what Watchtower says over what actually happened. Not surprisingly, Brumley didn't take this lying down and filed an appeal, because that's what Watchtower always does. They have to appeal everything into oblivion. And it says, which after, the plaintiffs having to live through this horrible event, that the plaintiffs pushed back hard. I just wonder, if they hadn't have pushed back and fought as hard as they did, would this have just gone right under the rug and no one would have ever known about it? Because when it says push back hard, Jehovah's Witnesses absolutely do and set out to make anyone that has anything to say against the Bible Tract Society feel like that they are, in the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, feel like that they are crazy for saying it. And it is so disgusting. It is nothing less than an absolute cult. Not surprisingly, Brumley didn't take his line down. He filed for an appeal. This was discussed on May 22nd, 2025. He argued that he claimed he wasn't an attorney of the record of those specific cases and therefore shouldn't be held responsible for the sanctions. If you have anything to do, whether it's being a witness, signing affidavit, whatever, if you have anything to do with a legal matter holding in a court, they always make you swear that you state the truth and nothing but the truth. So even if he wasn't this, if he argued, he wasn't an attorney on record, he still has to state the truth no matter what, and he failed to do so. But the appellate court is not buying it. They pointed out that the sanctions order wasn't immediately appealed, so no dice on escape and the fine. One judge during this asked, doesn't signing the declaration as general counsel imply that you are acting as a lawyer, not just a witness? So, there's one huge hole in his brain dead story. Concerns was raised about avoiding liability through technicalities, judges claiming to be a fact witness instead of a legal actor. One judge noted he reads lawyer affidavits differently than lay people, expecting more care and candor. The panel repeatedly reinforced Caputo. I don't know what Caputo means actually, and seemed to lean toward applying it useless. There was a compelling reason not to, and didn't read more as to why this matters and moral stakes. This isn't about one lawyer or a single fine. It's a warning shot about the vital importance of honesty in court, especially in child sexual abuse cases where the truth cannot be fudged. Well, apparently Watchtower doesn't seem to think or believe in that, and Watchtower only believes in the truth when it's not a court case being held against them, even in the face of child's sexual abuse cases. And they really seem to love these because they always make sure that they find the best authority to act these out. And what I mean by that is, elders that go and sexually abuse children, because in the congregations, elders get the utmost power, and if the people are told, these are Jehovah's loving shepherd, and you should always trust them no matter what. And child sex abuse cases is what that leads to. When people in there are going to learn that, who knows? But it's serious. I'm not trying to make a joke about it. It is something serious. And even now, going on, they're still going through people in Pennsylvania that they found in the for child sex abuse in the congregations, and they're still holding court for those people because this is what they did. This is what elders do, unfortunately. It also spotlights the duty of religious groups and the lawyers to be transparent about past involvements. Well, how can Watchtower be transparent about past involvements when they're sitting there telling the leadership of the congregations that once they get a statement once they get a statement during a tribunal, to go and destroy all the evidence? How in the world can the courts of the United States expect the religious group of Watchtower Bible Tract Society to be transparent about past involvements when that's what they order the congregation leadership to do, to destroy all evidence of what was gathered during the tribunal? And I don't care if they send it to Watchtower Bible Tract Society or not. If you have gathered evidence about a child sexual abuse case and you do not turn it into the proper authorities, i.e. the police department or the FBI, so they can begin also investigating and interrogating the people, uh, uh, you know, the perpetrator involved, then you're not doing your job. You are not doing your job, and you are not to be trusted. That is exactly how I feel about that. Um, Courts are watching and attempts to uh, off obfuscate or cause or mislead won't be courts are watching and attempts to obfuscate or mislead won't be tolerated. And this is something that we all know, XJWs that have to deal with Watchtower's bullshit, especially when you're first waking up, that they love to do, especially the ones that have been abused within the congregations. Um, the government argued that Phillip Brumley should not be awarded leniency on or further opportunities to fight this case because he abused the court's process 5 years ago, and the litigation has dragged on as a result. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Brumley is not entitled to the graces of the judicial system when we when uh when when we are here because he misled the federal district court. So even they see it, and of course, Watchtower has just put out a Watchtower about Phillip Brumley's life. So any whispers or any hints toward the direction that Phillip Brumley did lie would be snuffed out, and it would help Watchtower damage control so much, and it's so disgusting. It is so disgusting. So this right here, this is what Watchtower loves to do when they're in the frying pan. This is what they love to do. The truth hates telling the truth when it's needed, and it's so sad. And the truth cannot handle the truth. There's also a video. You guys can go check it out. It's by Fixing My Faith. He did a video on this exact thing. And as a matter of fact, this right here is the article. The battle belongs to Jehovah, and it's a life story as told by Phillip Brumley. It's kind of cut off down there, but that's what it says. But it's a really good video that he did. So this is another thing. I'll put this link down below, but it's basically what the courts have to say about him, not being honest in the affidavit, and I'll put that in a link down below also, so that way you guys can read it, whoever happens to find this video. But yeah, that's about it. Have a good one. Bye bye.